Hello there, Lighthouse Festival Theatre fans and Showboat Festival Theatre fans. So we're back with another first act. So back in the winter, we had this idea with Peter Colley that we're developing a show with him about Sherlock Holmes, and we talked about the show. And one of the gifts for Christmas was to receive the first act of the play we're working on that the audience will see in the near future. And that kind of was like a runaway hit with our subscribers in the audience. So we're back here doing it again. And this time with another fan favorite of Lighthouse and Showboat. And that is some guy named Norm Foster, who is with us right now. And Mr. Foster, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
So I was thinking about what kind of questions I was going to ask you when we started this. And I started thinking, okay, what's our history? Do you realize that we met 16 years ago, maybe 17? I need to figure that out. And we didn't meet as a director or playwright or anything. We met as two actors.
Yeah.
In a show on the Aquarius stage that, honest to Pete, I can remember very little of.
I remember the title of the play, Strawberries in January.
Yes, and I remember the other two actors, Catherine McGregor and Fiona Byrne, carrying my butt through the whole show.
I remember I had a huge monologue that I always rushed through. I always think today, boy, if I could just do that again, I'd get it right,
Anyway, but that's, and I didn't realize the first day we met, because I was brought into the rehearsals. I was brought into the project late.
Yeah.
When we all met on the first day for the read through, you were just introduced to me as Norm.
Uh-huh.
I hadn't, seen a photo of you or anything up until that point in my career. It was early in my career. And you were just Norm. We were just the guy playing that character, and I didn't realize you were Norm Foster for like the first 2 days. It's a true story. And then when we were at the pub after rehearsal one day, someone, said, "Oh yeah, Norm, I was in your show such and such," and I was sitting at the bar having a drink, and I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that." But I never admitted it because I didn't want to look like an idiot. But it just makes me think of, and then we started to get to know each other, and we really talked about your past. And I think a lot of people would be very interested, because we talk about the 66 shows of yours. Where are we at?
Yeah, well, I've written 62 that have been produced professionally, and since June of last year, since COVID, I've written 4 more that hadn't been produced yet because theaters have closed down. So I've written, what's that, 66? Yeah, 66. Yeah.
66. Brilliant. And so we talk about those shows, and we'll talk about a few, but I'd like to talk about how you became a playwright, because you did not start out that way.
That's right. I certainly didn't. No, I started in radio. I was a broadcaster, hosted a morning show in I started in Thunder Bay, Winnipeg, Kingston, and then wound up in Fredericton, New Brunswick, where I am now. And I get the morning show there, and that's where I got involved in theater. A friend of mine was his mother ran the local amateur theater group, and he was going to audition for a play, and he asked me to go along, and I said, nah, I don't know anything about theater. I've never been in it, never even seen a play. I had never seen a play. And I was about 30 years old. And he said, well, could just come along for moral support. And it was the play Harvey, which became a movie starring James Stewart.
Yeah, sure.
And so I went along to the rehearsal with him. And when everybody had auditioned, the director, I was sitting up in the seats, and he said, "Do you want to audition?" I said, "No, I'm not an actor." He said, "Well, you're in radio, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you must know how to read, so come on down and read." So I read for him, and I got the James Stewart part in this play. And I thought, well, this is neat. So
now how established were you as the radio? So you were the morning show guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And what was it like, the morning show, or was it Norm Foster's morning show? Like, how established were you in that role?
I was pretty when I first came to town. I was a new guy, and after about a year or so, the show became pretty popular. It was me and the sports guy whose mother ran the theater, and the woman who did the news, and there was three of us, and we became the number one show in town. Uh,
So this guy knew who you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he knew I was, yeah.
Because that would have been weird, just randomly saying, "Hey, guy, you want to audition?" Like, that's a desperate director looking
really,
for actors.
Yeah.
So now you finishing high school and you're saying, "Okay, I want to get into broadcasting." Did you want to get into
No.
TV?
Listen, you know what? When I finished high school, this is great. When I finished high school, I thought I wanted to be a writer for television. And I went to my guidance counselor in high school and I said, I want to be a writer for television. And she said, well, you might as well just go and sit on the steps of the CBC. That's all I can do for you. I said, really? That's your advice? Go sit on the steps of the CBC. So then I got, don't ask me why, I read about this clown college in Orlando, Florida, the Barnum Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, Ringling Brothers Clown College. And I applied and I got accepted to this clown college.
What?
I was going to be a clown. I was going to go down to Florida, like a circus clown. I was going to be a circus clown. Even when I think about it now, I think, what was I thinking? So just before I was about to...
Wait, hold on.
It's true.
This interview's gone off the rails. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You applied to be a clown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I didn't have the marks to get into Ryerson to be a writer. So I thought, well, Florida sounds good. Clown, I can do a clown. So just before I was about to leave to go down to the clown college, I got accepted into Centennial College in Toronto, which was a poor man's Ryerson. And I went, apologies to Centennial College, they're still in operation as far as I know.
Yeah.
And I went there for a year, and then I went up to Thunder Bay and went to Confederation College in the radio and TV arts program there. But yeah, I was this close to being, a bozo.
So I'm gonna have to edit some of this last hour. But oh my God! So I have to ask, what was the tipping point between clown and Centennial?
The tipping
was
point.
One more respectable than the other?
It was actually being accepted into a school. That was like, I said, Mom, I got accepted. She said, what? Yeah, I got accepted. And so I went.
Oh my God!
And you're called it. Oh man, yeah. And that's where I got into radio actually, because when I was in Centennial College, I said to my professor, I said, yeah, I want to be a writer for TV. And he said, there's no market for writers for TV in Canada. And I said, well, why do you have the course? So then I switched over to radio. And I went into the broadcasting course, and that's how I got into radio.
Okay, I feel like we could stay on that for about an hour, but
oh yeah,
but
yeah.
But okay, so that's interesting. So this is something else I know about you that a lot of people might not know, is that you are a huge music guy.
Yeah,
huge music guy. And you were really taken by DJs. Right?
Yeah.
Like the idea of music and DJs and stuff. But you were also very musical yourself.
Yeah, I was, grade 9, we three friends of mine said we should start a band, but none of us played instruments. So I said, well, I'll try the drums. And I was playing percussion in the school band. I said, I can play the drums. And the other three guys picked up the guitars, two rhythm guitar, lead guitar, and a bass guitar. And we started a band, and we got pretty good. And we actually made 2 albums in Toronto. We actually got known. So that was my first career, I guess, was a musician. playing in a band. I thought, this is great. This is a great life. And, then I went to university or college, and I left it behind.
Right, clown school was calling. So, but your band, I think it was David Nairn mentioned to me that your band, one of your albums is like, it's extremely coveted by music collectors. Is that right?
Yeah, it's for some reason, somebody put out a list of the, I think it was the top 50 Canadian albums, sought after albums that are rare, tough to get a hold of. And we're like number 12. And I thought, what? I said, yeah, people paid $500 for this album. I said, what? I've got 4 of them at home that I could sell, $500. Yeah,
make a fortune.
Yeah, it was, our band was called Cargo. I think the album was, the album that was sought after was called Front Side, Backside. That was our first album. But yeah, it was considered a jazz fusion group. That's what they called us. So I guess we were kind of ahead of our time, but we weren't very good, but we were ahead of our time anyway.
But did you even know you were a jazz fusion group, or did you guys? No, you guys.
We wrote our own songs. I wrote most of the songs. Me and the lead guitarist wrote most of the songs. Yeah, so they were all original stuff. Yeah.
And did you play live?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, we had a lot of gigs, as they say. The big place in Toronto was called the Gogue Inn. It was on the Danforth. We played. They had 3 floors, and we played that. You started on the bottom floor, get the middle floor, and then the top floor was when you really made it. We never made it up the middle floor, but yeah, it was great. It was fun. We played a lot. We played it. Oh, we had a job every Friday and Saturday at a place called Hagerman Hall, which was right behind City Hall in Toronto, in the edge of Chinatown, and we played on Friday night from 9 till 1, and then on Saturday night from midnight till 3. Whoa. And it was a tough place. It was a tough place. We had a dressing room just at the top of the stairs, and during our breaks, we'd hear people getting thrown down the stairs. It was terrible, but it was an experience, that's for sure.
Oh, no kidding. And so, have you guys ever done a reunion gig or anything like that, or once it was put to rest that you guys reminisce about it but don't play together anymore?
No, I'm only in touch with one of the guys, the bass player, and he's still playing. He plays in every weekend with the Down Child Blues Band. He plays with them every weekend. Yeah, he still does it. But
I think didn't I see him live? Didn't I see him live?
You were with me. Yeah,
and down in Port Credit.
That's right. Yeah.
Garth
Fogan, he still plays. Yeah,
that's
he's great.
So we get into radio. So you said radio took you from Winnipeg, Thunder Bay.
Started in Thunder Bay, went to Winnipeg, then Kingston, then Fredericton. Yeah,
and then Fredericton. So now you're doing radio.
Yeah.
And it's you, the sports, you say, the sports guy?
Yeah, the sports guy and the newscaster. Started out with a guy, and then he left, and then we had a woman doing the news for us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there's the team.
Yeah.
And so you're doing the morning show, and it's going all great, and then you decide, hey, I'm gonna write a skit.
Yeah. What I did was I created characters. Blanche Devine was a woman who ran the cafeteria downstairs, made her up, of course. I had a reporter called Walsh Norris, another guy named Wyatt Tisdale who couldn't hear very well. Not that he didn't have his hearing, but he was always he was in a helicopter doing traffic reports. He couldn't hear he couldn't hear what people were saying to him. So so I had a bunch of these characters, and I would write skits the night before, be about a minute long, and then I would go in the morning and record their voice, put their voice on tape, and then I would play it on the air, and I would answer them. I had the script, and I'd be their voice, and I'd be me too, answering them as we had this conversation. It was fun. It was great fun. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, could I speak with James Whistler, please?
Speaking.
Mr. Whistler, it's Norm Foster calling from CIHI.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wonder if we could have a few words with you this morning.
Well, you caught me at a bad time, Ron.
Norm.
I was just about to take breakfast up to Mother.
Oh, you're living with your mother, are you?
That's right.
Well, isn't that nice?
Isn't what nice?
Well, I mean winding up with your mother in the afterlife.
Yeah. Listen, I gotta get going.
Well, can't you talk for just a moment? I mean, I wanted to ask about that painting you did of your mother.
That old thing?
Yeah, I beg your pardon? Oh, you mean the painting? Yeah,
What'd you think I meant?
nothing. I was just, yeah, so tell me about it, could you?
Well, there's not much to tell. I mean, she was just sitting in her rocker like she did every day of her life.
Jimmy!
And all I did was...
Jimmy!
Oh, hang on a second, please.
Jimmy!
Yes, Mother, I'll be right up.
Have you got the orange juice?
Yes, Precious, I've got the orange juice.
Is it freshly squeezed?
Yes, love. Squeezed by hand only moments ago, yes.
Well, are you bringing it up or not?
Yes, Mother, right away.
Well, when? I've been waiting all morning.
I know, Mother.
Well, when are you coming?
I'm coming right now! Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, this is my idea, Heaven.
So how many skits do you think you wrote during that time?
Wow. There's got to be hundreds, yeah, hundreds. Yeah.
Right. And
I
so,
didn't do one every morning, but I did one, every other day or so. Yeah.
right. So, and I think people will be interested to know that before you became the most produced playwright in Canada, et cetera, you had a career in radio for how long?
25 years. 25 years. Yeah.
And that's amazing. So, and then 25 years, you're writing a few skits, you're pining of your days in band, you're loving music, you're all in that world. And then you go to, now this is a community theater audition for Harvey.
Yeah.
So you after a long career, like that's a full career, 25 years in radio.
Yeah.
You audition on a whim and you get this role in Harvey.
Yep.
Is it like Bing? Is it,
No. Actually, I fell in love with the idea of the theater and all these people pulling together and getting the show up, but there was no money in it for me at all. And I thought, so I did Harvey, then I did Arsenic and Old Lace, then I did Butterflies Are Free. And then I thought, maybe I can write one of these things. So I did write one for this theater group. It was called Friends and Family, and they put it on. It was a mild success. And then, meanwhile, I still had my radio job. I was doing my radio job still. And because, my father always said, if you have a job, you keep it. Your job, you're making money, you hang on to this job. And so I did. And then the man who ran the professional theater group in Fredericton at the time, a man named Malcolm Black, ran Theater New Brunswick. And he said, if you ever write another play, show it to me first. And I said, okay, I'd do that. And I wrote a play called Sinners, which was a sex farce. And I said, Malcolm, I've written this play. He said, well, come on into my office. I went to his office and brought the script. I was going to give it to him. He said, read it to me. I said, what? He said, read me the play. I said, what? It's 6 characters. He said, well, read them all.
Really?
Yeah. So I sat opposite him at his desk, and I was nervous as heck. And I was sweating, and so I read this, 2 hours, read these characters, read this play. And at the end of it, he said, okay, I'll do it. And that was it. He put the play on. And that's where I got started, was professional theater.
Did he tinker with it at all?
Oh, we did. We
Must have.
We did some rewrites and rehearsals, of course.
So that's the first learning experience of professional theater. So you wrote a show, and now you're doing some rewrites, and you're around the professionals who are kicking their butt on this.
And I was really intimidated by the professional actors too, because this is my first play. I was really intimidated. They were nice to me. They were nice, but I felt really nervous about it.
Well, as we all do when we make that leap, right? Yeah. Because you know what? People know what they're talking about at that level.
Yeah.
So then you go to show 2.
Yep.
Now this is the show that you are most connected to.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the Melville Boys. So, and this is the show that plays off Broadway.
Yeah.
So
Did really
second
well.
show you ever write goes off Broadway. But I love the story about, is it Malcolm that said, oh, this act's a bit short? Is that right with the monologue for
For
Loretta?
Loretta, yeah, that's right. It was the second act. And he said the act's a bit short. We need something to add something. And I said, okay, I'll look at it. And I wrote a monologue that between the younger brother and the younger sister, where it's the morning after, and he's really in love with her. He's just met her. He's a little in love with her, and he wants to propose to her. And they sit at the kitchen table, and he has this big monologue about why she should, be with him. And it's, it was my first crack at writing something like that, a serious thing like that. And I really turned out well, and I was really happy with it. Yeah.
Well, and it's the play's still done today, multiple times. They hold up, and that's one of the things that I think is very interesting about your work is that you consciously don't write pop culture references.
I don't, yeah.
And the purpose of that is
because 10 years from now, if I mention, for instance, if I mention the Spice Girls, if I mentioned them 10 years ago, today they'd be like, who? The what? So I don't want any references that dates the play. That people will say, oh, or I don't mention Neil Diamond, that was old. That's old, So yeah, I try not to mention any pop references. I've done it a couple of times, and when I do it, I make sure that the audience knows that this is a pop reference that I'm referring to, and also I make sure that it's a pop. Like if I say Marilyn Monroe, she lasts forever.
Sure.
So I can say Marilyn Monroe, but I can't say it's somebody else who's in a TV series is going to be disappeared in 10 years. So
right, you could get away with the Beatles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You make sure it's a reference that is going to be around for a long time. Because
Sure.
I got a couple of plays early in my career when I mentioned pop reference of the day, and I hear it now. I think, oh God, I'm so sorry I mentioned that. So yeah.
And so when you were growing up, when you started writing all these plays,
Mm-hmm.
who do you think was the influences for the humor that you're able? Like everyone marvels at how you can just turn the most normal everyday life moment into a hilarious situation, and then on a dime switch it to you feel for that character, and you want to give them a hug, and then flip it back to humor. Where does that, like, who influenced that humor heart? That's the typical saying of your work. Where does that come from, do you think?
When I was a kid, my family, my mother and father and I, my sisters, I had two sisters, we watched TV a lot. I remember when we got our first TV, and so I remember watching a lot of TV with the family. And the shows we would watch would be Jack Benny, Jackie Gleason, and they're all influenced by my dad. My dad loved these old comedians, Jack Benny, Jackie Gleason. I'd go to the movie theater, watch Abbott and Costello. Milton Berle, I'd like. Lucy was great, a huge influence. I love Lucy. So that's where I got the humor from. I don't know about the heart part of it. Jackie Gleason had a lot of heart in a lot of his skits that he did. But I think when I started writing, I found that if I put some serious moments with the comedy, they complemented each other. And so that the drama became heightened and the comedy became funnier because of it. So I was taught early on in my career by Malcolm Black, the man here in Fredericton, who said, you want to avoid being too maudlin. Don't overdo it. So if you find yourself getting serious, break it up with a laugh. And that's a great piece of advice he gave me. Yeah.
He must have been massive for you.
Oh yeah.
Like a mentor.
Yeah, he was. He really was. Yeah, I've had two mentors in my life. One in radio was a man named Don Percy, who was one of my professors in radio and TV broadcasting. He taught me a lot about humor and radio. And then Malcolm Black, who was taught me a lot about the theater. He actually taught me how to the format, how to write a play. You do this, you do this, you don't put that there, put this here. So yeah, he was a big influence on me. Yeah.
What's the most interesting place that you've had a play? Like you got the request to do the play, and you were like, really?
Yeah, Moscow. Moscow. And they wanted to fly me out over to Moscow for the play. And I thought, nah, I don't want to get shot down over Soviet airspace. I think I think I'll pass. And for another thing, I don't want to be surprised by somebody doing my play incorrectly. I don't want to be disappointed. So I rarely see my plays unless I have a friend in them, or so, somebody asked me to come and see them. I've been to Chicago to see one, San Francisco to see one, and I've been to Vancouver, and that's about it. I've been invited to other places, but I don't.
Well, it's the writer's dilemma. I know every writer, when they go to see something they wrote, and they're not involved in the project, right? Like they've bought the rights, they're doing their production of it.
Yeah.
And I know that is a fear of every writer walking in and seeing something that they did not intend.
That's right. And it's happened a couple of times. You think, oh my God. I remember one play being done in Peterborough years ago in the 80s, one of my plays, and halfway through it, and I was sitting beside the chairman of the board for this theater, and halfway through I said, this isn't what I intended. It's a lot better than this. Oh.
So now here we are in COVID, we're in lockdown, and for a little while, I don't think many of us in the arts were feeling very arty. I know I wasn't.
Not at all, Derek. No.
And I just kind of wanted to absorb what was happening in the world. I didn't feel like creating. And then, you kind of got into the rhythm of it. And then I started workshopping some plays with some playwrights.
Yep.
And so during this time, you also have gotten back into the creation of theater for when it's time for us to come back.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. And you started writing again.
I started writing in June of 2020. That's the first time I felt like even doing anything. And I write pretty consistently. I'm always writing something. So I started in June of 2020, and I just went crazy. I wrote 4 plays between June and December.
Wow.
4 brand new ones. And then when I finished the one I think the last one I finished with the date on the script is like January 5th or something.
Mm-hmm.
I finished that, and I said, well, what do I write next? And I thought, well, I think I'm take a rest. I'm out of ideas for now. And so I decided, and I stopped. So I haven't written anything in about, it's only been like 3 weeks.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but the last one I wrote is this is going to sound ridiculous, but I wrote it in 19 days. Called play called The Pack of Thieves, and I wrote that in 19 days. And I the thing is, when I wrote these plays, I thought these are really good, and for some reason I really got into writing these plays, and even though I knew they weren't going to be produced right away, but I really got into. I had three or four great ideas for plays, and so I finished one. I started the next one, and I was really happy with every one of those 4 plays. I think they're really quality plays. So we'll see.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Pack of Thieves, because you sent it to me. And I read it on January 6th, I think.
Yeah.
Right. And I howled. I laughed out loud really hard. Those guys,
great.
They're very funny.
That's great. Yeah.
And that's the show that I'm hoping you'll be open to sharing the first act with our subscribers. So then now they don't get to read Act 2. But they get to read Act 1. I think that one would be a great fun for our audience to have a laugh.
Sure.
That's great. Brilliant. And we're very grateful for you. And on behalf of all of our almost 6,000 subscribers between Showboat and Lighthouse, thank you.
Thank you.
That's going to be a real treat. I think this is fascinating. And I think our audience, I know that our audience looks forward to your shows when we put them on here.
Well, I love having shows done at Lighthouse. It's great theater. They get great audiences, and it's always exciting to to go there and either act in a show or see one of my plays being done. It's great. It's great place.
Well, and the one thing that people always mention to me about you is that you're so approachable. He's so approachable. Like, just, if Norm is in a show here at Lighthouse or he's written one, chances are you might find him at the bar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just go find him at the bar and have a yak. And
That's right.
and people do.
Yeah. Oh, they do. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
So thank you for this. Pack of Thieves is coming to the audience, the first act. And there's a few other playwrights that are going to join in on the first act series here.
Great.
So we're very grateful for this, and it's really great to share with people that the theater world is still creating. Like we are creating, and when they come back, there's going to be plenty of Canadian material ready to make people laugh and cry and have a grand time at the theater, because there's nothing like live theater.
Oh, I know there isn't. You can't replace it. Being in the theater with an audience of people enjoying the same show. It's there's nothing like it, really.
You know what? We're coming out of this light at the end of the tunnel. All good.
Yeah,
We'll be ready.
that's right. We will be. I'll be ready.
I'll be ready. I'm so ready.
I know.
Good to go. Well, thank you, Norm.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen,
Great.
for watching, and we hope we see you at the theater for some live theater very soon.